Hi, you've reached Burger King. To leave a message, press 1.
Burger King? Listen, I'm a bit of an idea guy. Like croutons, I thought of that. I got a great idea to make your burgers better. 2 words, buttery sauce, because that makes everything taste better. You with me?
Sounds good. It's almost as good as the new extra-long buttery cheeseburger from Burger King. 2 beef patties topped with veggies and a rich buttery sauce on a toasted bun. Now just 2 for $5. Or mix and match with the Flame Grilled Chicken Burger, part of the 2 for $5 deal. The new extra-long buttery cheeseburger, only at Burger King. Limited time only, price and participation vary.
Blog Talk Radio.
Live from Fort Bragg's backyard, this is the show that put the 110 Nation on the map. There is only one nation, the 110 Nation, and you're listening to the 110 Nation Sports Show, covering each and every sport across the board. There is no sport too large or too little. It's time to talk the talk. Here we go. Here's the man, the founder, and your host, Mr. CJ Sports.
I want to welcome everybody to the 110 Nation Sports Show. I am your host, Mr. DJ Sports. You can follow me at DJ Sports1. You can follow the 110 Nation at 110 Nation. Also, check us out on Facebook, my personal fan page, Mr. DJ Sports, the 110 Nation fan page, 110 Nation Sports. Also, check out our site, www.the110nation.com, and check out our blog site, www.the110nationsports.com. As I'm working on my weekly NBA power rankings over on the blog site, I will have it published shortly after the show. I'm over halfway through. So once we wrap things up here tonight, I got some admin things I got to do. But while I'm doing that, I will also be finishing up my power rankings so I can get them out tonight. Now that things are starting to get a little more on focus here at the radio side of the house, I decided I was going to step things up and help out and really get the website, more specifically the blog site stuff of the house, rolling like it needs to be doing. So that's kind of what the focus is tonight. So looking forward to doing that. Most of the 20 other things I got to do, we were supposed to take some stuff to storage as we've been here for 3 weeks today, and we still got a handful of boxes that need to go to the storage units. We just had to consolidate things, and still got 3 boxes laying in my bedroom of clothes, closet space, and dresser space have been an issue ever since Shorty and I have lived together. So that'll continue to be a battle that we got to figure out. But between that and dealing with the sick youngin at the house, it's been kind of one of those days. I did get the opportunity to sit and watch the Senior Bowl. A lot of great players, a lot of up and coming, should be NFL athletes. So I enjoyed being able to watch that. Not quite the competitive game that I was hoping for. It was a little bit more lopsided than I was hoping, but did get an opportunity to watch that and did get to kind of scout and see what we got coming up. So looking forward to that as scout combine time. Their combine time is right around the corner, and then of course, we got the draft, and then before you know it, and I know we got media day to day, and we're not even through the Super Bowl yet. I'm already talking about combine and the NFL draft. I'm not the only one talking it, so I've been seeing projections and guesses and everybody's top 10 list and everything else. So it's weighing on a lot of people's minds right now. So, except for 2 teams, and that would obviously be the Carolina Panthers and the Denver Broncos. We got we got a star-studded roster tonight. joining me. We got Ali Kern. I know she's been on the show at least twice already, but making a return. She won Drive for Diversity, and I'm looking forward to talking to her, kind of get an idea how plans have changed now that she is in that program, and how she's going to tackle 2016, and what off-season was like, and just a little bit of everything as we get ready for this 2016 season. Then we also got Tim Clagg joining us. He is the PR over at Mason Mitchell Motorsports, and also an ARCA commentator. So very excited about having him on the show. Get to kind of get a sneak peek into what 2016 is going to look like for Mason Motorsports, Mason Mitchell Motorsports. We've kind of been a good luck charm for Mason Mitchell. First time he came on the show, that following week he wrapped up the point championship for the ARCA Series. And truth be told, all he had to do was start the car and he was in. So it's not like, it was that much good luck. But the two times since then he's been on the show, he's also followed that up with wins. So, hoping to get Mason back on the show very soon. If the good luck charm keeps going, we might end up making him a regular. He might want to make us be a part of his regular routine if we keep doing things. But we got Tim Clagg joining us. We're going to talk about the ARCA Series and talk about things going over at Mason Mitchell Motorsports, looking for 2016. And then to wrap things up tonight, we got the return of Rashard Mitchell, the author. Recently published the 50 underrated quarterbacks in the NFL. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that, talking about the Pro Bowl, talking a little bit about the Super Bowl. And I tell you what, all that in just one show. And that's not even the half of it. Tomorrow night, good Lord, we're back at we're going back to back this week. As we also got a really big star-studded show for you guys tomorrow night. As we got Gus Dean joining us. He's making his ARCA debut at Daytona with Mason Mitchell Motorsports. And then don't forget, we also got Zach Boychuk of the Carolina Hurricanes joining us at 10:30 tomorrow night. So tonight we got diversity driver Ali Kern. We got ARCA Series commentator, and Mason Mitchell Motorsports PR guy Tim Clagg. We got a published author, Rashard Mitchell, and then tomorrow we already got ARCA Series driver Gus Dean and Carolina Hurricanes Zach Boychuk. I talked to him, messaged back and forth with him a little bit before the show, so I know we are still a go for tomorrow night, so very excited about that. I know Izzo, which will be there, of course, and he'll be taking over the roles, as we have him on every Tuesday night, but I gave him the reins. I told him what we're going to be doing, what we're going to have, who we're having on, and to make sure that he was prepared for tomorrow night's show. So very excited about the first couple of days of this week, nonetheless. And that's coming off the high of this weekend. If you did not get an opportunity, one, to catch Happy Hour Garage, you missed one hell of a show last night. We had it replaying on the 110 Nation Sports Radio Network at 7 o'clock last night. Awesome show. Make sure you guys check that out. Also, for those that are following us and listening to us on Spreaker, you got an opportunity to catch a sneak peek of next Saturday's show. If you just listen to Blog Talk side of the house, we got a special Saturday show for you because they did two shows last week. Normally we just do we just have one of their shows scheduled, and then it only takes 2 shows a week. So for those that are catching us on the Blog Talk, next Saturday lunchtime, I think I got it scheduled for noon. You guys will be able to check out the newest episodes of the Happy Hour Garage. But if you're on the Spreaker end of the house, you got an opportunity to already catch it. And if that wasn't enough, oh my Lord, we finally got the Dirt Talk Hour crew together last night. Yes, we had Chris Yellowkosh and Flag Creighton and Damian Bean both in the studio last night. They had a phenomenal show last night. Had a great time. listening in. It was very entertaining to listen to these two guys talk last night. They were also joined by Kenny Carroll and Brian Shirley, both drivers out of the Midwest. Very, very entertaining shows. If you guys have not had the opportunity to catch that show as well, the Dirt Talk Hour premieres every Sunday night at 9 Eastern Standard Time. You can also catch it on the I-95 Sports Network on Mondays, just like you can catch this show, the 110 Nation Sports Show, every Tuesday through Sunday from 10 a.m. to noon over on the I-95 Sports Radio Network as well. Not to mention, you can catch all our shows here in the 110 Nation on Spreaker, Blog Talk Radio, Stitcher, SoundCloud, iTunes. We keep expanding, and the rate we're going and the things that we got going on here, very looking forward to a lot more great things and a lot more great shows. Speaking of which, if you guys are out there and you're listening, and you guys have a show that you do, and you would like for us to rebroadcast it on the 110 Nation Sports Radio Network, we would love to have the opportunity to do that. All you got to do is hit me at MrCJSports@gmail.com and title the subject line as rebroadcast show or syndicate show, and just let me know a little bit about you and your show and where we can find your show. And I would love to have the opportunity to sit there and catch up on your shows and see about getting you guys on the 110 Nation Sports Radio Network. Also, if you're interested in writing for us, like I said, a lot of my focus now is going to be starting gearing more towards the blog site side of the house. Is right now I'm the only one writing for us. Definitely looking for writers. If you're interested in writing, passionate, love your team, your sports, whatever the case may be. Like I said, all you do is hit me at MrCJSports@gmail.com. If you're interested in coming on the show, if you're some kind of athlete, part of some kind of athletic organization, team, whatever the case may be, maybe you got a site or a show and you want to come on and promote it and talk sports, or if you got some kind of charity or foundation, we would love to have you come on, let you talk about it, help promote it, as we're highly involved with a bunch of different charities. All you got to do is hit up Miss Lee, and that's Lee_110Nation@yahoo.com. That is LEE_110Nation@yahoo.com. We got a couple of events coming up that we're going to get our hands involved with. Of course, More Than Just Me is doing their annual More Than Just Miles, the 5K run down in Florida. Where we're hoping to get tax return money back in time to help them and do our yearly sponsor with them. Then also we got the Seek to Destroy Cancer event coming up. We are a sponsor of one of the athletes and part of that, the former Atlanta Falcon and New York Giants Moose. They're actually having a throwing event in this city, and so we're actually going to be out there at the event as well as being one of the sponsors out there. So looking forward to that as well. Good God. I got the opportunity to sit down last night and then, of course, Saturday night as well. This weekend was the NHL All-Star weekend. And so Saturday night, I got the opportunity to sit down and watch the skills competition for the first time ever. And, once we brought Izzo on to the staff, that was one of the things that I vowed was that I would dedicate more and more time to the NHL. It's just one of those things that, it's not that I have anything against the NHL. It is more of one of those things that, between life, between work, between family, between everything going on, and then you throw in NASCAR, then you throw in the NFL, then you throw in the NBA. By the time you throw all these things in there, we got to include the 110 Nation and everything I got going on there too. It's just finding time to open up the door for one more sport it's almost impossible. This is all truly, honestly, what goes on in this household. I need to be unemployed. I need to be in a position that I'm at least be able to bring in enough money without actually having to leave this house to support what I got to support and be able to have nonstop sports going on. That is honestly, truly what needs to be happening. It is crazy. What needs to actually be going on with everything, especially now. Yeah, you got to figure. We're creeping up on March Madness. We are creeping up. We're what 20 days from the Daytona 500. That puts us, about 10 days at the beginning of Speed Week, so they just did the 24 hours of Rolex. The Rolex is 24 hours, whatever it's called. We got the All-Star breaks. We're about halfway in the middle of the season of the NHL. We're 13 days, less than 2 weeks away. February 14th is the NBA All-Star game. So you're 2 weeks away from their halfway point. We're less than a week away from the Super Bowl. Excuse me. There is so much going on right now. It is hard to find time to watch everything. And that's why I say honestly, that's why I say honestly, it needs to. I need to be unemployed at this point so I can have time to spread it. And of course, now with the DVR, it makes life a lot easier. So honestly, I wouldn't have been able to catch the NHL All-Star game, or I wouldn't have been able to catch the Senior Bowl or the Pro Bowl with everything going on. I would have missed the NHL All-Star game due to work. I would have missed the Pro Bowl and the Senior Bowl due to work / doing the show. There's a lot of things that I would miss, and so honestly, yes, it would be great to sort of find a way to make that happen. But one of the things that I vowed to Izzo and to the 110 Nation was to be better knowledgeable about the NHL. And so I made a point, especially with this 3-on-3 format they went to for the All-Star game, to watch. And I tell you what, it did not disappoint. Sitting there watching the skills competition Saturday night, all the way up until the very latter part of it. Then it started interfering with the Cleveland Cavaliers and San Antonio Spurs game, and we know better than that. So can't miss my Cavaliers, especially when they're on TV, and especially when I don't get to watch them on a regular basis. I know a lot of people out there. You get to watch it pretty often. They're on TV quite a bit. Quit hating. As Cleveland, Indiana, in a close one right now. As a matter of fact, Indiana up 93-92 with 1:39 left, so we're going to keep you guys updated on that score. There's a bunch of games going on tonight. There's about 8 games on right now. We're going to brief you guys on those scores. As a matter of fact, Cleveland just went up 94 to 93 with 1:13 left, so we'll definitely keep you guys updated. And another one of those games where the ball is being passed around a lot. It doesn't look like all 3 of the players are going to break 20 points as they were on a 2-game run of LeBron, Kevin Love, LeBron James, and Kyrie Irving all have a 20-plus. But they are really, really close with James 18, Kevin Love 16, Kyrie Irving 15. And what's kind of keeping them from it is the play of Tristan Thompson and J.R. Smith. Tristan Thompson with 14 points and J.R. Smith with 19 points. Kind of a rarity for them to score that many points, as Indiana just went back up 96-94 to take a 2-point lead with 53.7 seconds left. Tristan Thompson with a double-double, though, with the 12 rebounds, 14 points. And LeBron James just 1 rebound away from having a double-double as well, with 9 rebounds and now 20 points as well. But not to get sidetracked on, I talked about the Cleveland Cavaliers. who are 4-1 in their last 5 games. Very impressive run with the Cavaliers this last week under Coach Lou, winning for 15 of the last 18 games. But anyway, let's get back to the subject at hand. Love what I watched out of the skill competition, first one. Of those I got to watch, I was rather impressed with a couple of things. It was cool. I got the opportunity to message back and forth with Izzo, ask some questions, and had a blast with that. And then I don't know what CBS was thinking, but I DVR'd the NHL All-Star game, and they had it slated for 3 hours, and unfortunately, it only made it to about halftime, and when it finally cut me off, so it was a little bit longer than just 3 hours, and I was rather upset because I watched the first game and go to a 4-3, final, and then the second game it was 9-6, and I'm just like, yeah. I'm not big on these blowout games. There's a reason why I don't watch the NBA and I don't watch the Pro Bowl. But I tell you what, that last night game, that third game, that tied at 0 at the half and ended up being a 1-0 game. I tell you what, that was some exciting. I was very glad that I sat there and took the opportunity to make sure that I'm glad that I took the opportunity to sit there and watch it. And I was aggravated because I got to the halfway and it was 0-0, and it just got the second half of that final game underway, and it stopped right there on the DVR. And so I had to wait for the rebroadcast version of it to replay the whole second game and then sit through the first half of the third game, so I could get back to where I was at on the third game. But very, very pleased that I did. I even looked over short. Like, I can really get into the. I could really get into it. I could really get into the swing of finding a way to make this more of a permanent fixture for us here at the at the house. And I ain't complaining. I'm kind of enjoying this as well. So it's one of those things that obviously we're going to make more of a habit here at the 110 Nation base here to have it on TV, not only catch it here and there, but catch it more on a regular basis. Needless to say, so very very cool thing. Tell you what, just having the opportunity to watch that, and then having the opportunity to watch the San Antonio Spurs Cleveland game. I'm very, very impressed with that this weekend. I understand that Tim Duncan was not out there on the court, but honestly, I don't think it would have made much of a difference as Cleveland stayed up pretty. Cleveland, I think there was a little bit there at the beginning that San Antonio might have been up for a minute, but Cleveland got into, I think, a 19-point lead at one point, and still finished very strong at the end, but I understand that Tim Duncan was not out there, but I was still impressed by the pace. I honestly would have expected, as the Cleveland and Indiana game just went into overtime. I would have expected a San Antonio win. Honestly, I was not expecting Cleveland to win, even though they were already 3-1 and won the last 3 games under Coach Lou. I just lost that Chicago game, that very first game. They had won 2 previous games. They went 3-0, or no, so I was right, 4-0. They had won 3 previous. They'd also beat Detroit, Phoenix, and Minnesota earlier in the week. And then, I guess they had an opportunity to kind of work the bugs out and work on this high tempo offense and this high-tempo attack. And I tell you what, it looked really, really good against San Antonio, which I know a lot of people, Tim Duncan, once again. But could you imagine Tim Duncan at his age trying to be out there to keep up with this high-tempo pace that the Cleveland Cavaliers are trying to run? And it's very exciting to see because if they can get into shape, like Coach Lou says they're not at this point, to be effective in his. Can you imagine if they can keep this up and run this pace and get themselves healthy enough? Tonight, obviously, coming out in the half, they came out cold because they were up by 11 points at the half. And that third quarter was ugly against Indiana tonight. Indiana scored about 15 points, 30-15. And, of course, outscoring them 4 points to tie it up there at the last quarter. That third quarter, obviously, really detrimental to this game as they were up easily all the other three quarters. That third quarter alone, 15-point deficit, just kind of erased everything. But I can only imagine what this team will look like. And you know, I've had a chance, and it was kind of why I wanted to sit down and made a point to not only watch the DVR of the San Antonio-Cleveland game as well. I wanted to have an opportunity to evaluate this team. And, you know, going into this game, honestly believed that San Antonio 7 games would have Cleveland Cavaliers in the finals. I think that Golden State would have them again in 6 games, maybe even 5. But after sitting and watching, this Cleveland Cavalier team after 5 games and already starting to look very impressive with this new scheme and this new high tempo, I now kind of have reevaluated what I've gotten to see so far in the first 5 games. I understand it's the first 5 games. We can also remember what Cleveland did the second half of last year with the run they made. They were only 19-20 at the break, and was virtually unbeatable the second half in. So obviously we'll keep an eye on the second half of this season and see not only how they do, but how they perform as well. But now I'm looking at it a little bit differently so far. Now we might be able to take San Antonio. This might go 6-7 games into Cleveland's favor's way, in favor of Cleveland. Sorry, if we happen to go toe to toe with San Antonio, if they can find a way to get past the Golden State Warriors. And now, my thoughts on the Golden State Warriors, we might still lose, but I tell you what, it'll be a much tougher. I'm not looking at 6, maybe 5 games. I'm looking at 6, maybe even more like 7 games. It is more what we're looking at this point now. So right now we got, Indiana just put back up 100-99 with 3:51 left in overtime. And I tell you what, you got all 3 of them creeping up on that. Like I mentioned earlier, we had already seen back-to-back games and them be unbeatable with all 3 of the big threes, LeBron James, Kevin Love, and Kyrie Irving scoring 20 points. Inching up ever so closely as LeBron has got 20, and Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving both got 19 points each as they are getting close to all be above 20. As a matter of fact, Kyrie Irving just went above 20. So Kevin Love is the only one below 9 with 19 points right now. Like I said, LeBron James and Tristan Thompson both double-double. Rebounds point-wise, putting up a really good game for the Indiana fans. As Cleveland, as a matter of fact, is now up by 3 points. As Kyrie Irving had made a layup, Kevin Love stole the ball from Monte Ellis, and then Kyrie Irving turned around a 19-foot pull-up jumper from the top of the key to put them up by 3 points with 3 minutes left, and Indiana called a timeout. So that's what's going on in the NBA. That's what's going on here at the 110 Nation. That was the weekend that I got to experience. It was a blast, and I had a fun time. Like I said, and not only did I make a point to watch the All-Star weekend because I vowed to and told Izzo at the same time that I would make a better effort to be more knowledgeable in the sport, but I also knew that we had Zach Wojcik joining us tomorrow night, and I wanted to know and kind of be able to relate to the conversation. Not that I plan on saying much, because my NHL IQ is like very, very low. Like, my 9-year-old son probably knows just as much about hockey right now as I do, and I don't even know if he's ever watched a hockey game. So I'm going to stay off the mic while we have him on. But that was kind of the other purpose, other than I genuinely wanted to catch it. But very, very exciting weekend. Like I said, watching the Cleveland Cavaliers win, watching that Pro Bowl. It's just tough to sit there and watch the Pro Bowl. They got to find something. I know that they had fun, and it's an opportunity for the players to have a weekend of football, but be off and get paid and whatever. But it is horrible. Like, I don't even know if they ever even tackled a running back. It was kind of practice drill tackling, so you never really even seen the running backs get tackled. How about Richard Sherman doing the RKO on Clay Matthews? That was kind of entertaining. I had seen it on Facebook several times. That was kind of the other point I went back. The other reason I went back to watch the Pro Bowl was I already knew the score, and that was what was aggravating about the NHL. Get back to that point real quick of the All-Star game. Not only did the DVR cut it at halftime, and I had to wait until they rebroadcasted it and caught, and then watched it rebroadcast up till the point of the game I left off, so I could finish watching the 0-0 tie, which ended up being a 1-0 game. But then I had to stay off social media because I didn't want them to post 2-1. And here I am running the studio for the Dirt Talk Hour show last night. So now I got it paused. I had to wait. It was, I'll tell you what, it was so aggravating because I could not share nothing. I could not post nothing. I could not do nothing. And I had to keep a blind eye to my time feed just so I didn't see who won. I'm not typing. Once I see who won, I don't have an interest in watching it no more. And so I made it until it got up to the point of the game where we was at, and even knowing, and I tell you what, I was on the edge of my seat, and I know Shorty looked over a time or two because I was making noises and everything else. And I tell you what, a 1-0 game on a 3-on-3 action, that was really cool to see. But anyway, we got Ali Kern joining us. She's in the studio, getting ready to plug her in. Won the Drive for Diversity program, a very good program. For those that are new listeners, I'm going to give her an opportunity once she gets on to kind of tell you guys about the Drive for Diversity and what the program does. Got a lot of big plans in 2016. I'm sure some of those plans just changed when she found out that she was one of the participants in the program. So looking forward to having her back on the show. We've had her on a few times. A very young, talented driver. Very excited about just a great opportunity for her. So without any further delay, let's go ahead and pop her into the show. How are you doing tonight, Allie?
I'm great. How are you?
I am doing awesome. It's one of the best times of the year with everything going on, with the NHL half midseason, NBA midseason, Super Bowl next weekend, Daytona 21 days away. March Madness getting ready to come right around the corner. This is my dream time of the year. So I am doing awesome. Before we jump into this, like we do every time, I want to give you an opportunity to plug yourself. Let the fans know how to follow you, like you, check out company sites, personal sites, sponsors, wherever you want to throw out there real quick before we jump into this tonight.
Yep, you can follow me at www.alikern.com. It'll be updated all throughout the season, so you can keep up to date with what I'm doing. You can also follow me on Facebook and Twitter at Ali Kern. That'll be, live updates through the race, and that'll keep you up to date on all the fun stuff going on throughout the season. Definitely got to thank Crown Battery out of Fremont, Ohio. They've been a long-time sponsor of ours, and basically got me to the point that I'm at now, and it wouldn't have been possible without them. Got to thank Mom and Dad, my boyfriend Jake, everybody who puts in, such a team effort to make the racing program work, and most importantly, I have to thank Max Siegel and NASCAR Drive for Diversity for giving me this awesome opportunity to run in the NASCAR K&N East Series this year, and I'm really, really looking forward to that.
Now, for those that are new to NASCAR and new to the 110 Nation and never heard us talk about the Drive for Diversity, which we've been fortunate to have a lot of the drivers that have either participated or have gone on to be, selected for it on the show. I want to give those that are kind of new to the show or new to NASCAR more specifically an opportunity to kind of know what we're talking about when we talk about the Drive for Diversity. Kind of let them know what the program does and how that benefits you as a driver in furthering your career.
Well, the NASCAR Drive for Diversity program is, a leading development program for female and diverse drivers in the motorsports industry. It gives us an opportunity that we wouldn't normally get. It's a sport dominated by white males, and it's starting to change a little bit, but there's just not a lot of opportunity for diverse and females in the sport, and to be able to get this opportunity and compete and at one of the higher levels in NASCAR, and hopefully after the series you're moving up to the next 3 levels in NASCAR. So to be able to get an opportunity with this program and what they do for females and diverse, it's amazing. And you wouldn't be able to I would not be able to get to this level without them. So it's really awesome. And hopefully the next step up is one of the top 3 touring series in NASCAR. So it's kind of like an entry level program, and it gives us all the resources, all the tools, media wise and everything, just to really succeed and to do our best.
Now, for those that are wondering the selection process, one, how do you get selected to go to the combine, and kind of briefly let them know what they've looked for when they were having you guys out at the combine and when they were making their selection?
Well, there was 23 drivers that were selected for the combine. You go through a whole application process. You have to fill out an application, all your racing background, all your history. You have to submit like a short video, and basically, there's like a panel of NASCAR judges, and they go through everybody's profiles, and they pick the best candidates, for the program. And so you go, you get invited, and you go to the combine, which is really awesome. It's a really good time. It's a couple-day event. They host it down in Langley, Virginia, at Langley Speedway. We do a whole day of, a physical fitness assessment. We do, like, media training, and then the second day is all on track.
It sounds like a cool time. I got an opportunity, I think it was 2 years ago, that they broadcasted some of it over one of the websites. I got to see it a little bit. And of course, like I said, we've had quite a few of the drivers on the show, so, we've got an opportunity to hear a little bit about it and kind of live vicariously through the drivers and what it's like. But now, when you got the phone call, one, where was you at? And two, well, how shocked was you? And three, once the initial shock that you got selected, was there a lot of screaming, jump up and down, and excitement knowing that you got selected into this program?
I was actually at work, and my mom called me at work, and she was actually babysitting my puppy. We just got a puppy, and she was babysitting my puppy for me, so she calls me at work, and she never does that. And so I was, like, freaking out. I was like, oh, my gosh, what happened to my dog? And she calls me, and she's like, you got to call this number back right now. They just called the house. And so, I get off, and I'm like, I need to take a break for a minute. And so I call this number, and, they're like, we want to offer you a K&N ride. And it was just kind of, like, surreal. I was like, yeah. And they were like, well, do you accept? And I was like, yes, of course I accept, And it kind of, it didn't really hit me until, I think, last week when I actually had to move down here to North Carolina and started to kind of get in the rhythm of things. And now I think it's kind of, like, set in a little bit.
How difficult was it for you to focus on work the rest of that shift?
Oh, it was awful. I didn't even want to go to work for the rest of the 2 weeks that I had to stay. I didn't want to.
Well, what's the move been like? How much of a culture shock was it for you to move from Ohio to North Carolina? I did it, what are we looking about, 18 years ago at this point. I joined the military in 96, and about 98, I think, is where I finally landed here from North Carolina. But I'm originally from Ohio as well, and from the Dayton area. And so, I went from a state that had 4 actual seasons to a state that you could possibly see all 4 seasons in one day. And to go from, I remember growing up, and people look at me crazy when I tell this, But I can remember in Ohio, it now becomes more and more of a common post, and you see it. You'll be able to relate to this when I say it. But I can remember in Ohio, it had to be, once it got to 70 degrees, we were allowed to wear shorts in my house. And once it got 70 degrees, it was short weather. I don't know about you guys, but I know in my part of Ohio, once it hit 70, we were in shorts. It's funny because now that I've adapted to the North Carolina weather, 70 degrees, I'm still in pants and probably even a hoodie at this point. It's definitely a different, even the weather culture, the weather is even different. But what's it been like for you to adjust from the Ohio life to down here the North Carolina life?
It hasn't been too much different considering when we were on our way down last week and it was snowing. We were driving in a blizzard all the way, so it kind of was like North Carolina was welcoming me with a blizzard. But no, it's been a lot to get used to. We actually bought a house, so we close on the house tomorrow. So I think once we get into the house and get everything settled, it'll be a lot more calm and able to focus a lot better. I've actually been staying with friends of ours for the past week, so I've been a little crazy and not myself, but it's just 1 week, so now this week, I'll get into the new house, get everything settled, and I think it'll be a lot better. But I love it down here. I mean, it was 70 degrees today. It was awesome.
Yeah, I still have 2 windows open, and it's funny when I first got down here, they talked about they hadn't seen snow in a while, and that first winter it snowed down here, and don't expect what you're used to. Even with the snow in North Carolina, it does not look anything at all like the Ohio snow. I don't know how to explain it, but my ex of mine, she even growing up in North Carolina had the opportunity to go to Ohio while there was snow, and could not even put into words how different even the snow looks from up north to what it does down here. And you got to be blessed that you didn't see snow when you came down, because my area, we didn't get snow. All we got was a little bit of ice, and that was kind of the end of what we got that last weekend. And that probably be all we get this year, knowing our luck. And I know it was a couple of years ago, or maybe even last year, I don't think we saw snow at all. It's been a hit and miss lately. But it's definitely a little bit different, especially North Carolina and their weather and the seasons, the lack of seasons. It's just kind of crazy down here. Going into this year, obviously, until you found out that you won the program, you had one mindset, and you guys kind of had an idea. Obviously, nothing, sketched in stone, because of the fact that you still, you could win the drive for diversity. But I'm sure you guys had some kind of idea of what you were going to do if you guys did not win. How big of a change was it for you to go from what you originally thought you were probably going to do or possibly do to now what your schedule is going to be like?
Well, I knew I had a really, really strong performance at the Combine this year, so we were kind of, the whole time, kind of just banking on it, knowing that, I did really well down at the Combine and hoping that everything went through there. But, if it didn't work out, we were going to run our super late model up north like we did last year, and pick and choose our races and just try to compete and win races and do what we did the season before and had so much success at it. We had 2 poles last year and a win, and we had a really successful season for the short number of races that we ran last year. So, I'm really excited to be able to run a full season in the K&N. It's a great opportunity, and hopefully, we'll secure a little bit more funding so we can still run some races back home in the super late model and just get, as much seat time as I can this year.
Now, what was your travel schedule like up north? Did you pretty much go to just a few limited tracks?
We ran the ARCA Series Super Series, which is the series that we ran the year before when we finished runner-up and got Rookie of the Year. We ran that series, but we just, picked and choose which races that we wanted to run, the races that we thought we were going to be the most successful at, and basically, my favorite tracks. And that's what we did for.
Well, what more I kind of was going at was how much of the how I want to word this, the difference in your travel compared to when you've been in it. Basically, is there going to be a big difference for you when it comes to traveling and going a bunch of different tracks versus what you've been used to now that you're in the K&N Pro Series? Are you doing a lot more traveling this year than you normally would do? And is that something that you're going to have to adjust to? Maybe you're not used to traveling all to these different tracks. Is that a track? I didn't know if you predominantly stayed in a local track kind of rotation, or what your rotation was before you got selected to go into this.
No, with the ARCA Race Super Series, we ran all different tracks all over Ohio and Indiana and Michigan. So we were traveling to, every single race was a different racetrack. So that shouldn't be too hard. There's a lot of tracks that I haven't been to, though, on the K&N East schedule. So that's something we're going to have to adjust to and get used to, and hopefully, pick up on the line and pick up on everything, really fast. There's actually 3 road courses on the schedule this year, and I've never ran a road course race before. So I think those are going to be my 3 toughest races. So if I can survive those races, with a solid top 10 finish and keep the car in one piece, I'll be really happy.
Now, when you have tracks like that you've never been to, do you find yourself trying to find seat time and maybe iRacing or other aids? I know it's not the same, but I know that, a lot of drivers, highly promote the use of iRacing and stuff like that. Is that something that you're going to try to find yourself doing more and more to prepare yourself for some of these tracks that maybe you've never traveled to before?
Yeah, it's definitely something that I'm going to, pick up on. I've actually never really done it before. I'm not really a firm believer, and I don't really think it's that realistic that it transfers over. But especially going to a new track, just being able to get the line down, especially on the road courses with all, the shifting and turning left and right, it's just something all new. So hopefully I'll be able to get on the iRacing and just get a little bit of practice in and hopefully at least have the corners down by the time I get there.
Anyway, that's got to be exciting to go from what you were doing to even now more so because of the fact that NBC has done such a great job of doing televised. They've done a better job of televising the ARCA Series and the K&N Pro Series. So now you're going to have an opportunity to get a lot more airtime. I'm sure that's got to be an exciting thought to know that, all this is paid off, and now you're going to be seen on TV on a quite regular basis.
Yeah, I mean, it's just absolutely amazing, and I just hope that we can put everything together for this year and get some really solid finishes and hopefully, grow from here and be able to move up to, the next touring series and hopefully, be that first female to really succeed at the top level.
How much different is the Super Series that you were running last year, the car-wise, versus the K&N Pro Series car? How much of an adjustment is that for you? And have you had an opportunity to get any seat time in the K&N Pro Series cars yet?
Actually, back in 2011, I ran 3 K&N Pro Series East races. So I got a little bit of seat time in the K&N car, so it's not going to be completely new for me. But compared to the late model, the only real difference is the late model is a lot lighter car, and they're a lot more smooth. The K&N car's a lot, heavier and kind of more of like you got to muscle it around. But horsepower-wise, they're about the same on horsepower, so it shouldn't be too big of an adjustment once I can just get used to the heavy car, getting thrown into the corner a little bit more than I would with the late model. I think I'll be all right.
Competition level obviously is going to continue to get harder, and moving from one series to the other as you're moving up, obviously it's going to be harder as well. Have you prepared yourself mentally? To me, you're kind of going, as you work up, the competition gets harder, but you kind of probably still have the same goals and expectations out of yourself, knowing how good of a driver you are. And I know it can be easily discouraging if you don't get the results that you are used to, not thinking about the talent level being at a higher level. Have you started preparing yourself mentally, knowing that this is going to get a little bit harder for you?
Yeah, I think I'm definitely prepared for that, and I know it's going to be a struggle. I know it's not going to be easy at first, and I think it's this season's just all about me and me growing as a driver and growing with my team and just being able to advance. If we can start out getting top 10s every week and then move up and some top 5s hopefully by the end of the season get a couple wins. I mean, that's going in the right direction. But my main goal is just going to be to make progress. From the first time I get in the car to the last race, I want to be a completely different driver. I want to be that much better, and I want to be able to compete with the best of them.
How many races do you guys have scheduled this season?
There's 14 on the schedule.
14. When's the first race, and where do you guys actually kick off at?
The first race is actually Valentine's Day, February 14th, and that's at New Smyrna in Florida.
Definitely a way to kick it off down in Florida. February 14th, though, that's you kind of wish that they'd push that back a little bit to be able to, especially being away from your family and, be able to kind of have an opportunity to at least have that day. But I'm sure you're not complaining having the opportunity to be in the K&N Pro Series. Being in North Carolina and this being new and really not knowing a lot of people, what have you done so far to kind of take your mind away from maybe being homesick or not having anybody around? Have you visited the Hall of Fame? Have you gone anywhere? Have you done any sightseeing to kind of keep yourself occupied as you wait for the season to come upon?
I like to do a lot of driving out in the country. I've had my puppy with me, so she's kept me pretty busy this whole time, so I haven't had much spare time. But I actually did get to check out the Hall of Fame a couple weeks ago. That's actually where we got introduced, and they officially announced the team was actually at the Hall of Fame during Media Week, so that was a pretty cool thing to be a part of. But no, my puppy, she keeps me really busy.
I definitely can imagine. I dog myself, and I know what it's like, and I think ours is pretty enough. I want to say that the time frame that we got it, because we was kind of given to us by a random person, and the age, I think that about February 14th is about his birthday if we figured everything right. So he's creeping up on one. So definitely a full-time, I wouldn't say chore, but a full-time, just like raising a kid. And it's, it is what it is. You got to love them.
Yeah, you do.
Where was I about to go? I was about to go with something. Now I've lost my whole mind frame. Yeah, still drawing a blank. Hey, you know what I'm saying? You said you were going to try to do some of the super late model when given an opportunity. How tough is that going to be? And have you already kind of, as the sponsor that you talked about earlier in the show that has been with you throughout this whole ride, one, are they coming with you as part of this ARCA series, or I'm sorry, the K&N Pro Series whole ordeal, or are they just kind of hanging out and is going to help keep funding the super late model as you come back and do races when you can?
We haven't finalized any sponsorship deals yet for this year, but hopefully they'll be back on board for the limited amount of late model races that we're running this year. And hopefully we'll be able to pick up a few more if we get them on board. But if not, we're still going to chug along, and we'll still run quite a few super late model races, and just, to keep seat time. I think it's the more I can race, the better.
And what's it been like being with your new team? Have you had an opportunity to meet everybody? If so, what's the interaction been like? And is everything as smooth as you thought it would be, going from what you've been used to kind of, it's like basically almost like changing jobs. You go from one job to the next, and even though you might know it, you just got different people and things are just not the same. How's that been for you?
It's been really good. I haven't got a chance to get to know everybody yet, but there is, it's 4 K&N teams that are ran out of the same shop, so there's a lot of people that are involved in the success of it. So there's a lot of people still that I have to meet, but I really like everybody. I like my teammates. I think it's going to be a great successful season. I like the work atmosphere, and I like everybody's vibe. Everybody's just out there to help us succeed and to do whatever they can to help us get to the next level. And, I think it's just a really great program, and I'm really excited to start racing and see what we got.
When you first stepped into a car, or when you can actually remember back, I don't know when you first started racing, but as far back as you remember, when you first got into a car and first got out there on the track, did you ever think that you would be where you're at now?
Honestly, I started when I was 6 in motocross, so I think back then it was just a little more about, having fun and whatnot. But I think when I started to move up to full-size cars, and, it was a struggle at first. It's not easy adapting from a go-kart to, a full-size car. And I think once I got the hang of the full-size cars and realized that, I did have a little bit of natural talent for it and that I really enjoyed it, I don't know if I ever thought I'd get this far, but, I'm just truly blessed to be here, and I just want to keep improving on myself so I can keep moving up.
For the 2016, what is one goal that you are going to put on yourself that you want to accomplish? If it be a top 10 finish, if it be finish a certain place of the points, a win, a goal that that you feel that is very reachable that you set upon yourself. What is one goal for 2016?
I think the biggest goal for 2016 is to not wreck race cars. I think it's going to be clean and finish every single race and try to get a top 10 every single race. And I think if we finish in the top 10 every single race, that gives us a really good shot at winning the championship. And I think that's the goal. A win would be great, and obviously that's always the goal when you go to the track is to show up and win. But I think, no wrecked race cars and a solid top 10 every week, I'd be really happy.
Well, I wish you the best of luck on that. And there's nothing against anybody that runs in the K&N Pro Series, but I have watched a lot of those races, and it is a small track. A lot of the tracks I've seen anywhere have been a small track. I watched a couple of the road courses, but most of those tracks are small, compact, and there's a lot of beating and banging going on. And there's hardly a race that goes by that there ain't some kind of damage to everybody's car. There's a lot of beating and banging. So I wish you the best of luck on keeping those cars in perfect condition or as runnable as possible, because they like to beat and bang on each other out there.
Yeah, they like to in those late models too, but I tend to hold my own, so hopefully I'll just be able to stay out of all the crap.
Oh, there's no doubt in our minds you'll do your best at it, and I don't think it's so much a concern because, I've read a lot about you and I've seen a lot of ups when it comes to your resume. It's more of, kind of like Jamie Mack. I feel that Jamie Mack always gets caught up in everybody else's stuff. I think Jamie Mack could be a really good driver, but it just seems that he always got caught up in everybody else's stuff. That's more of my concern with you is not, I know that you're a really good driver. It's just whether or not you can avoid everybody else's garbage and the temper, especially when you got so many young people out there. Tempers start to flare, and you got some of them out there that are just, riding on other people's money or daddy's money and, not really caring what they're tearing up or if they're tearing anything up. And you got people out there that are legitimately trying to do the best they can. This is either their only opportunity or, an opportunity in a lifetime to advance. And so you got different drivers out there a lot of times in that series that are kind of in different mindsets and have different goals. So I definitely wish you the best of luck. I'm looking forward to having an opportunity to sit down many of races this year and catch you on TV. I'm definitely looking forward to having you back. I'd love to get you back sometime mid-season or so to see how this first season is going for you out there in the K&N Pro Series and kind of see how it's going with your team and how you're feeling and how it is being in North Carolina for that period of time so far. But definitely want to wish you good luck for 2016 and the rest of your career, and looking forward to having you back here soon.
All right, that sounds great. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, ma'am. You have a great night.
You too.
That was Ali Kern, winner of the Drive for Diversity program, one of the drivers out of that program. I tell you what, that program has done a lot of great things. There's a lot of great drivers in NASCAR right now. Bubba Wallace, Kyle Larson, just a lot of drivers have had this opportunity and have made the best of their opportunity. And hopefully Ali Kern, a fellow Ohioan, she will maximize this opportunity and advance herself in the series and work her way up through the series, different series, the ARCA series, Truck series, I'm about to call it Nationwide Series again, Xfinity Series, there you go. Sprint Cup Series, which by that time it won't be the Sprint Cup Series. I don't even know what it's going to be called at that point. But definitely for her. Like I said, we've had her on a few times, and always a delight to have her on the show. Always very insightful, and just glad we had the opportunity to have her return. It's always great when I get to have someone from my neck of the woods. And our next guest happens to be from the same neck of the woods, in the sense of Ohio anyway. We got Tim Clagg joining us. He is the PR over at Mason Mitchell Motorsports and also an ARCA commentator. I'm looking forward to getting the opportunity to talk to him. Before I do, I want to make sure that I plug a couple things real quick. Make sure you guys follow me at CJ Sports 1. Follow the 110 Nation at 110 Nation. Check us out on Facebook, my personal page, Mr. CJ Sports, the 110 Nation fan page, 110 Nation Sports. Don't forget, tomorrow night, we got another star-studded show for you guys, as we got a couple great guests joining us tomorrow night, and it's one of those shows that I'm very, very excited about. But we got ARCA Series driver Gus Dean joining us. We'll talk a little bit, I'm sure, get a little bit into it about tonight. He is making his debut at Daytona for Mason Mitchell Motorsports. And then we also got Carolina Hurricanes Zach Boychuk joining us tomorrow night at 10:30 as well. Very excited about having both of these great athletes joining us tomorrow. But we got Tim in the studio. We're going to get him in here real quick and get to talk a little bit about Triple M, talk a little bit about the ARCA Series, talk a little bit about NASCAR, life. Who knows? We might even talk about the way the wind blows. Who knows? Who knows? But anyway, without any further delay, Tim, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. I hope you guys bear with me. I'm getting over a little bit of a cold and just got done announcing a basketball game. So I hope my voice is still going to be able to hold up here for you guys.
I'm sure that you'll be just fine. If not, Miss Lee says I talk too much anyway, so I can just do what she says I do well. Before we jump into this, I want to give you an opportunity, like I do everybody else, to plug anything you want to plug at social media, anything for Triple M, ARCA, basketball, obviously, as you do that stuff. Anything you want to throw out there real quick so they can know more about you, what you're doing, your teams, anything you want them to know about.
Yeah, sure. Social media-wise, you can keep up with me on my personal account at Clagger, CLAGG01. Most of the stuff I tweet about is all work-related, whether it's the ARCA Racing Series or broadcasting for the TV station that I work with back here. So I try and keep everything, some kind of sports-related, and try and keep people coming back and try and give them some information, some insight into whether it's the world of basketball or world of the ARCA Racing Series. Just want to keep everybody coming back and appreciate everybody that follows me on social media. And you can follow the Team Race account at MMM_race. That's official Mason Mitchell Motorsports Twitter, and you can follow Mason Mitchell Motorsports on Facebook as well.
How does one get into two, I don't want to say totally different sports, but it's not as common as a crossover for NASCAR fans and NBA fans as maybe NASCAR and NFL or NASCAR and MLB. Usually basketball and racing are on two different ends of the stick here. What got you so highly involved in both sports, and what got you into doing commentary work for both of them?
Well, it's funny, like a lot of kids that have ambitions and dreams to race, I started off racing go-karts and kind of realized very quickly, I had a little bit of success, but realized very quickly, my parents do not have the funds to do this, and B, it's so much time and effort to go out and get sponsors as a kid and playing other sports and being successful at that. I said, well, hell, let's do the next best thing. Let's go to school for broadcasting and radio, TV, sports broadcasting, and do that. Since I can't be out there as a driver, might as well be able to do the next best thing and call races. And I went to college for radio, TV, sports broadcasting at Bowling Green State University. And Ray Dunlap, who does a lot of work for Fox Sports, does a lot of TV stuff for trucks and ARCA as well. He was, pretty much served as my mentor from the time I was in high school and still helps me out quite a bit. And, I was fortunate enough to get a call from my coworker now, who I work with, Charles Kroll at the time back in 2012, who he asked me if I'd be interested in calling some ARCA races. And, the first year was a little bit of a learning curve. I mean, I had prior radio experience from the time I was 15 until, upon graduation. And ever since then, the rest is history. They keep calling me back. Hard to believe I'm going to be in my 5th year with the ARCA Racing Series this year on the radio side, and try and do a little bit more TV stuff. And, besides doing the radio stuff, I work for a TV station back here, Buckeye Cable Sports Network, do a lot of on-air work for them, do a lot of audio work, live instant replay. You name it, I pretty much try and do it. It's funny because everything I went to school for was radio, TV, and sports broadcasting. Well, that helped me kind of cross over into the PR side of things and get hooked up with Mason Mitchell and his race team since 2013. So we built that relationship, and it's been a good relationship working with those guys. And I'm fortunate enough to be able to do a lot of different things and have a lot of really neat and really cool experiences firsthand.
How difficult is it to keep up with the ARCA series with your job? I mean, because, not all these drivers run full-time schedules. So you see a lot of different drivers that are in and out. Obviously our top 10 in the points last year, they were there every week. But outside of that, a lot of the drivers kind of, financial reasons are in and out. And then you also got new people kind of stepping in to ride. And then, of course, this is not the Sprint Cup Series or even the Xfinity Series to an extent. So usually after a year or two, they're gone, and you're having to learn kind of as much as you can about each of these drivers, not only on a weekly basis or yearly basis, but a weekly basis too. How difficult does that make your job to be successful when it comes to being on the air and talking about the ARCA Series?
I don't think it's more difficult. I think it enhances the experience and makes it a lot more fun because we get to see a variety of different race car drivers, as you mentioned, whether it's guys who race here 1 year, then they use this as a stepping stone for the Camping World Truck Series or the Xfinity Series, or somebody who, the racing world maybe hasn't got a chance to see yet. ARCA's kind of changed their rules the last couple of years and allowed us to see 15 and 16-year-olds race here and be very successful. That's been probably the biggest joy for me. Not really too much difficulty, because you're kind of, as a broadcaster, as a race fan, you want to try and watch everything and see where the next Jeff Gordon, where the next superstar is going to come from and follow their story. So it's more fun than difficulty.
I can imagine it being fun, but I don't know. But part of it, and maybe I'm looking deeper, but a lot of these times you listen to these shows, they just seem like they know. So-and-so, and I'm supposed to make the initial name out there just because that's the name that's very common in this conversation. But Mason Mitchell, he grew up in, back when he was 4 years old, he did this, and by 6 he was doing this. And you got a lot of the guys on there that, know a lot about these young drivers' history and past. And it doesn't seem like a lot of times they're reading it off a piece of paper. So it seems like they genuinely know a lot about a lot of different drivers in their past. And I honestly, I used to have a guy that worked with me. He went to Youngstown University. He was originally from Ohio as well, and Division III school or whatever, and was a quarterback. He worked for me at a pizza place here in North Carolina, and any time that we got to talking about any NFL player, this guy could tell me what college he went to, what high school he went to, what awards he won. It was like it didn't matter which football player you picked. Like he knew everything and everything. And it blew my mind. And that's kind of what I'm visualizing is, you guys got so many different drivers on, like I said, not even a yearly basis, but a weekly basis, and to genuinely know the information about them. I know it's got to be fun because you get to learn so much and, you get to know all these interesting facts, but at the same time, it just seems like at times it's got to be overwhelming because that's just like a lot of information that you kind of need to at least know somewhat about because you don't want to sound like you're just reading off the reader board in front of you while you're being televised.
Exactly. A lot of it, too, is building a personal relationship. You know, being able to narrate and being able to paint a picture, tell a story about an individual, it takes a lot of hard work. And that's one of the things that I kind of really pride my work on, is getting to know all the guys and girls in the ARCA Racing Series, because then if I get to know them on a personal level, it really helps me on the professional side as well, because I can tell their story into greater depth than you mentioned, somebody holding a piece of paper. I can tell it, try and tell it from point A to point B, and it's just it's part of the really, really cool job that I get to do.
And I'm assuming that the racing has got to be a little bit easier than the basketball side of it, because then now you're playing with multiple teams with multiple players. What made you fall into calling basketball games, and how's that ride been for you?
Well, it actually, racing is easier, but believe it or not, racing is the most difficult sport I've ever called, just because it's so fast-paced. There's always so much going on, whether it's on the radio side or TV side of things. But, as a kid, I would always sit there and have the Matchbox cars and run them around my parents' rug in the living room, and had a point standings and, race 36 races and would tally them up after every week. And, just being able to remember dates, information, stats, it came natural with me. And, being good with numbers is something that I pride myself on. So that's why racing has always kind of been easier for me as far as the number side of things. But I've always had a passion for basketball. I mean, I played basketball growing up all the way through high school. And I honestly enjoy broadcasting basketball as much as I do calling a race in the ARCA Racing Series or calling any race, especially, at the college and high school levels. It's a lot of fun. You just see a lot of passion, kids that want to play, kids that want to be out there for the right reasons. They're not getting paid to play the game, and they want to be there. Now,
I don't know how many changes trickle down to the ARCA Series, but I want to focus a little bit on that before we jump in talking about Triple M here. But I know that NASCAR has released their rule packages for 2016. How many changes actually trickle down for the ARCA Series? First of all,
honestly, not really a whole lot. I mean, from a competition standpoint, there is going to be a new tire. They announced that at Kansas. General Tire is going to be replacing Hoosier, which really there's not a lot of difference. Hoosier already helps General Tire make and produce that tire. So that's something that was announced at Kansas. And I think it's a good move. I really don't think there's going to be any problems. I mean, General Tire already delivers a great product, and already a lot of the series that they're the tire provider for. One of the big changes, too, last year, the series showed the Gen 6 style body car from 5-Star Bodies, composite car, which is going to, in the long run, going to save teams a lot of money. Originally, they were only, last year, allowed to race them at short tracks. So what it's going to do is, if you're in an accident, instead of having to send that race car somewhere else to get a front clip, rear clip, anything like that, you're going to be able to piece things together in-house yourself without having to send that race car away, and you're going to be able to save time, money, effort to get that race car fixed and get it back out and potentially the next weekend. So it's really a cost-saving move. So it's not only going to help the big teams, but the small teams as well. But last year it was only available on the short tracks. This year it's going to be available. Teams can run the car if they want to on every track but Daytona and Talladega. So that's gonna be fun to watch, see how many teams, if they believe that there's any sort of advantage, if they find an advantage, and they're going to run that particular car. So that's going to be fun to watch. The big thing, too, last year we saw how important the ARCA Ilmor engine was. It won every race last year. It was his first time in the ARCA Racing Series that it was in, the sole provider for the series. Teams had the option to lease or buy the engines, and it was very successful. I mean, we saw the most competitive ARCA season since 2010, 10 first-time winners. That's a tribute to how good that engine was, and it allowed smaller teams like AJ Fike, Travis Braden to get up there, win races, and be competitive. And I think a lot of teams have took note of that, because there are a lot of new teams that popped up this year, teams that haven't raced in ARCA for a while, and they're coming back to the series because that engine is now available. So I think your competition headed into this year is going to be higher and brighter than it's been in a long time.
NASCAR fans, as you well know this, are creatures of habit. Well, let me rephrase that. They are comfortable in their skin. In other words, they don't like change, but they like to complain because they're not happy at the same time. And it seems that every time that there's any kind of change, the fans bicker and cry and moan about it because they didn't like the old format or like the old rule, but they don't like the change. And usually after a time, either they forget about the change or they learn to like the change. And I think the biggest prime example is this whole chase format that, at first nobody wanted to chase. Then they were happy because it gave us at least 10 races at the end to be excited about. Then they changed that format, which they were unhappy about, until we watched the last 2 years and the excitement that it is really, with this elimination stuff, it is really built in the sport. But it humors me because you'll hear the NASCAR fans complain. Then NASCAR step in and say, well, we'll make these changes. Then they'll complain about the changes, and then, we are where we are. So with that being said, and ARCA kind of being that stepping stool to the truck series, the biggest change this year that I think has caught a lot of attention is the whole caution clock change that they've come up with. What is the general sense of this whole change? Because my biggest fear with this is my driver being out front, and if it being a fan or even being just say Mason Mitchell out there out front in the truck series, and out there by like a half a lap, and that clock hits 20 minutes, and there's a caution for no reason other than just to group everybody back up, or you got fender banging action going on, and it is tight, best racing that we can ever imagine, door banging, big pack of racing, and we hit that 20-minute mark and caution, and it calms everybody back down. Those are my two biggest concerns, other than it just seems to be commercializing a little bit of the sport, throwing those extra advertising in and commercial breaks and everything else, but more of the action on the track that that's going to change up. And, like I said, last thing I want is my driver to be out by 2 seconds out front, then all of a sudden that 20-minute clock hits and we lose everything we had gained that whole time. What's the general census around NASCAR, around the people this year round, about this whole package? Because obviously it's not affected you guys necessarily in the ARCA series, but it's something you guys got to prepare for the drivers that are going through Triple M or, the people, that you talk to, especially in the ARCA series as they're moving forward or planning to move forward.
I think there's a lot of people that are kind of skeptical, being a little bit critical. Personally, myself, I like to kind of wait and see how a product is going to work before I'm going to form an opinion. So I want to go ahead and give it a shot for a couple of races. Then I'll form my own opinion. But there's a lot of question marks. A lot of people saying a lot of the exact points that you made up. I don't have. Back when the Truck Series started, it was based, in 1994 when they were doing the winter heat races, and then the first year in '95. I have no problem with what they did back then. The races today are still short enough in the Truck Series to do what they used to do and have a halftime break. So it would eliminate pit stops. Let's say it's a 200-lap race, lap 100, come down pit road, it's under caution. You got 10, 15 minutes to make whatever adjustments, throw on new tires, then you go race. I had no problem back then in the early days from 95 until 98, 99. I had no problem with the halftime break. So that's something that I would have liked to have seen them go back and do that rather than what they're doing with the competition clock, because if you have a halftime break, that's going to cut the cost of Truck Series teams going out higher in Sprint Cup Series pit crews. You're going to eliminate that. You're going to eliminate. Sure, some people might say, well, you're going to take away strategy. That's not necessarily true. You're still going to have to make the adjustments on your race truck, whether whether you go the right way or not, that's up to you and the changes that you make with the track. But yeah, there are a lot of question marks right now on how this is actually gonna work and how it's going to affect the product you see. I mean, I understand they want to eliminate debris cautions, but the Truck Series races are already short enough as is. We do not need to implement a clock when, you know, some of their races are 120, 150 laps.
And I absolutely agree. And I'm the same way. I like to reserve my opinion until, same way with the chase. I reserved it until we got to see it. And so many people were so critical about it. Then once they actually got to see it, it's just like, wow, this is much better than what anybody, could have anticipated. And also when we're talking about the halftime versus the caution clock, is, at least when we had the halftime break, you knew exactly when that was going to happen. Now, when you're trying to strategize, now you got, okay, do we have the caution coming first, or are we going to have this caution clock come first? And, now that throws a whole other, it's bad enough we're out there worried about the weather, we're worried about debris, we're worried about our pit window, but now you throw another whole equation into this, and, in one part it makes the whole strategy thing a little bit more difficult because there's one more scenario that you kind of throw into it, but we'll keep an eye on it this year and see how that works out for the Truck Series and whether or not they'll continue it all year long, or maybe they will go back to the old way, the way it was, or just go back to last year. Who knows? Definitely an interesting idea. Mason Mitchell Motorsports. Great drivers. I know that we've had Mason on, I want to say 3 times, and we joke about this, and we joked about the last time he was on as well, that we've kind of been the good luck charm for Mason. As the week before he came, or he won the championship, he was on the show, and I don't take no credit for luck on that one. He pretty much just had to start the car. That was kind of the win the championship there. But then the next 2 times he came on, the following race, he did win. So we kind of joke about that. But it's been really cool to see this team go from Mason Mitchell to last year, them having him and Austin Wayne out there, and then, of course, having the 3 cars out there towards the end of the series, or the end of the year. I believe they had Townley on in one of the vehicles at the very end. 2016, what is 2016 looking like for the team?
Well, 2016 so far, as you alluded to in the open, Gustine's going to race for us in the 98, the banner car, in the opening race at Daytona. Going to make his debut. He was very quick in the test. Actually was second quick overall behind Mason, who got in the 98 car as well that weekend. So very impressive performance for Gustine. He's a late model graduate, races a lot of races a lot of Cars Tour late model series, and actually has a victory in the old X Cup Pro Car Series a couple of years ago. So he's very experienced and has adapted very well to the cars. I'm looking forward to seeing how he does at Daytona. Got another announcement that I can't just share just yet. It looks like it's gonna be announced probably Thursday this week regarding potential second entry. Still working on a bunch of things for the rest of the year. We have Logan Jones, who has signed on as a developmental driver. He's going to do a couple of tests, and then the team is him and the team and his parents are kind of going to sit down, evaluate everything. And if everything goes well, they are going to run him for the whole Calypso Eliminate Short Track Challenge, because he's only 15, so he can only run on tracks a mile and under. So that would be 11 total races that he could run for the Calypso Eliminate Short Track Challenge. But right now, everything's up in the air. There's still a lot of unknowns.
Now, you said you got there in 2013, correct?
Yeah.
How much has it changed, and or how much has it grown since you've been there?
When I first started with him, it was the second half of 2013 when he jumped to Empire Racing for the last 7-8 races of the year, and the team has grown steadily, handedly. He went from not having a team 2 months prior to the season to forming a championship team. The first year they came out, they had really good race cars, built themselves around really good connections, contacts, and people. And it's been interesting to see how the progression of the team has really grown since that first day. They didn't even know if they were going to make it to the test, the Daytona test back in January 2014. Went out, won in their 10th race, and were very consistent, top 5, top 10, you to death every week in that championship year. And it was really neat last year, really, really neat last year to see at Kansas 3 really solid race cars with Mason, Austin, and John West Townley. And Mason winning the race, John West Townley 5th, and Austin 12th. It was really a testament just to how hard and how prepared these guys really are when they show up to the track. I mean, they don't have a lot of hands-on in the shop. I mean, they only have 4 or 5 guys max in that shop every day working on cars. So for them to get together 3 cars last year was quite the task and very impressive. And, they have the capability to field 3 cars again this year, and that's what, they're hoping and looking forward to doing this year a lot.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but last year, him and Austin Wayne Self was the youngest driver-owner combination. And then also, isn't Mason Mitchell just turning 21 or just turned 21, somewhere around that ballpark figure?
Yeah. That's exactly right. I mean, Mason came in the season, just turned, he was 20 when we started the season, Austin 19. So for them two to pair up and be successful, I mean, Mason was actually, at one point in the year at Chicagoland, was actually the owner and crew chief at Chicagoland, and Austin Wayne Self was running second and challenging for the lead for the win in the closing laps. Unfortunately, another competitor cut down his left rear tire. But, he does it all. I mean, that's one of the cool things, he'll sweep the floors in the shop. He'll get underneath the race car with the team, with the crew, and no task is too big for him or too small. He will get his hands dirty and get involved in every aspect.
Now, you doing this for 5 years. You're talking about with the ARCA series. How amazing is it to you, and how often do you guys sit there and take a moment, step back, and think about how young he is and how much he's accomplished in just 2 years with this company?
It really is quite amazing to step back and see. I mean, I had a lot of people, I talked to a lot of people this last year, especially in the off season. I mean, I could tell a big difference from the first time I met him in 2012 at Berlin to now. I mean, he has grown up and become, he's still young, still 21-year-old, but he's grown up from a kid to a man and leading a team, being a leader in the garage, behind the wheel, at the racetrack, and somebody that you can trust that is going to not only look out for your best interest, but look out for the team's best interest as well. And that really says a lot about his character. And, I've had conversations with him and, letting him know that, hey, people take note of these things. You should be proud of not only everything you've accomplished, but how you have matured into this really great young man.
How easy does he make your job for you? I can only imagine being the PR over there and just seeing the talent and the focus and everything you're talking about and everything I've witnessed, either with him being on the show or, articles that I've read or just watching him, on television. I can only imagine that's got to be a PR's dream. This has got to be like one of the easiest, most marketable people in the ARCA series to have.
He really is. I mean, he makes my job very, very easy, to say the least. From the first time I met him, I knew that he had the it factor. There are a few race car drivers that they're good behind the wheel, but they don't have a lot of charisma on the mic, working with interviews, with sponsors, or anything like that. But it just comes natural to him. There was a few things we worked on together and kind of building, but once, he kind of got comfortable letting his natural personality out, people saw, what the guy that I work with every day, he just makes my job so much easier because it's an easy sell for, whenever he's racing, whether it's full-time, part-time, it's an easy sell whether to go to somebody and pitch a story when they know his reputation, his personality, and they want a part of it. And that's something that I really take a lot of pride on because, there are a lot of other race car drivers, doesn't matter whether it's Sprint Cup level or even at this level. Some guys, I think about it sometimes how fortunate I am because if I was with different drivers, maybe, a couple here and there, I won't name names, but there might be some sleepless nights where I'm thinking, oh man, what am I going to do? And, I better come up with a plan here. But I don't have to worry about anything that he says or does one bit.
Definitely got to make life a lot easier and cause a lot less gray hairs out there. You got some drivers that seem that they constantly either put their foot in their mouth or if they might be talented on the track, but they have no people skills and just don't get it. So that's definitely a great thing to have. And obviously with everything going on out there, and of course some more announcements being made this week, I'm sure that this year is going to be just as successful. And I'm not going to take easy for you because it's not going to be easy, but I'm sure it'll be another fun season to be part of that team.
Yeah, I mean, every year they've grown. They've taken steps further and further, being more successful. The first year, sure, winning the championship was a high mark to set, but winning one race that first year, last year winning 3 races, the only team with 2 different drivers to win in 2 different race cars was huge. I don't see any reason why not, that they can't win every single race moving forward this year. They have great race cars, great people working over there, and talented drivers, and just the total package that you would look for in a race team.
What would be more of a success for this team for this year? Multiple drivers winning multiple races, or one driver winning a championship?
I think right now it's kind of looking like we're going to go that route of filling multiple drivers in multiple different entries. So I think that would be more gratifying, especially being able to get several drivers to victory lane, because that just shows the versatility and how good the team and the race cars are. If a couple different drivers can come in, be successful, and win races, that just shows that it's not just one person, that it's everybody, and that the equipment is very, very good. And I think that that's possible. I really think that that's something that they can pride themselves on. I mean, they had 5 different drivers behind the wheel at the Daytona test. Gus Dean, Spencer Boyd, he was very, very fast as well. Zane Smith, who has really put a name on the late model circuit the last year, very successful. And then Noah Gregson, who last year had a breakout year as well. So it's good when you see these kids come over here, be successful with us, because then it sparks the interest of other drivers, other young drivers that say, well, okay, Noah's doing this, Zane's doing this, or John West Townley's going over there being successful. We need to go over there and check it out and see how good this race team is and be part of the success.
Most definitely. And, if I'm not mistaken, Mason was, I think, the first champion we've actually had on the show. But it's been really cool to be able to have him come back on the show repeatedly and just see this team grow just from the outside like we've had the opportunity to, not even be on the inside like you have. So it is really cool to be able to see that, and I definitely wish you guys the greatest of luck this year. Between him and having Austin on the show, everybody that's, part of that organization has been really genuinely nice and just really blessed with the time that everybody over there has given us and coming on the show. So definitely looking forward to 2016 and hoping that you guys have another highly successful year, and hoping that bigger and better things come for you guys. And I'm definitely looking forward to the announcement Thursday to see what else is coming out of Triple M over there. Tim, I don't want to keep you no longer. I know that you I got the voice issue and ain't feeling the greatest as it was. And I want to thank you for sticking it out and hanging out with us. And definitely looking forward to getting you back on the show later in the season and see how things are going, not only in your opinion on the ARCA series, but also over there at Triple M. But I want to wish you guys the best of luck. I hope you get to feeling better, and hopefully we get you back on here real soon.
Well, thanks. I appreciate you letting me come on, chat about Mason Mitchell Motorsports as well as the ARCA Racing Series. And, you know, the series I grew up on as a kid, the series that has really made me part of their family, and I just love being able to come on, whether it's radio, TV, and be able to spread the word about the series. And, you know, just if we can gain 1 fan, 100 fans, that makes everything well worth it. And appreciate people like you always thinking of us, and whether it's the race team or the series. I appreciate everything you guys do for reaching out to us and supporting us, and can't thank you guys enough for everything that you guys continue to do.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You have a great night. Great night. Get feeling better, and good luck on the season.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Look forward to chatting with you guys very soon.
Yes, sir. That was Tim Clagg over at Mason Mitchell Motorsports. He's their PR. I tell you what, that's got to be the dream job. To have somebody that has been that successful, you create your own team a couple months before the season, you win a championship, and then you come back the next year and you win multiple. You guys win, your organization wins multiple races. What he said, I think 3 races. He said you have 2 cars entries, and then you even finish the season with 3-car entry. And you help elevate Austin Wayne Stubbs' career. Mason Mitchell Motorsports keeps expanding. I tell you what, I know that no job is easy, but it can't be that tough. And yeah, obviously he loves what he's doing, not only being in the sport that he loves and being in the series he loves, but being with an organization that he loves and a driver that has what he calls the it factor. And obviously he's got it, and very marketable guy and very down-to-earth guy. We love having him on the show, and hopefully this year we get to bring the same fortune. Like I said, we've been 3 for 3. Mason Mitchell comes on the show, wins the championship the very next weekend. Like I said, I don't want to take too much credit. I want to get a little bit of credit, just a little bit. All you got to do was start the car. I think that's all you got to do was just start the car, and it wins the championship. Then he comes back last year on the show twice, followed out with I want to say the Kansas and the Iowa win. But he followed it both shows with a win, and so we've kind of been poking at the fact that we've been kind of his good luck charm. So hopefully we get him on a few times this year, and we keep the good luck going. But yes, 2 out of 3 guests knocked out. We got our 3rd guest in the studio, getting ready to plug him. Before we jump into Rashard, don't forget you can check out our website, www.the110nation.com. Also, check out our blog site, www.the110nationsports.com. Once I get off the show, I will finish up my weekly NBA power rankings. I normally do it, and I hadn't had time to be on the blog site and everything else with everything going on. But making a point that I am going to start publishing every week my NBA rankings. So I got about half of it to go, but I will have that published tonight for you guys to be able to check out. So make sure you guys do that as well. Don't forget, tomorrow night, we got ARCA Series driver Gus Dean joining us, making his debut for Mason Mitchell Motorsports at Daytona. Looking forward to that. And then don't forget, we also got the Carolina Hurricanes, Zach Boychuk joining us to talk NHL tomorrow night as well. Very excited about having him join me and Izzo and myself for the last 30 minutes tomorrow night. So very, very, these first 2 days of this week is just packed and action-full, star-studded. I'm hoping that the rest of this week finishes out the same. If not, you know me, we'll definitely get things popping, and we'll definitely make things happen. But without any further delay, I got to apologize because I went ahead and tried to book Rashard actually at 9:30 this morning, and I get a message, and we already had someone at 9:30. So I emailed him before it was maybe 10 o'clock. Well, I got the other message and didn't see the other message, I guess. And we had another guest at 10 o'clock. So Rashard has gracefully took the 10:30 spot. We had him on a few weeks ago. Looking forward to having him back on the show tonight. So we got a handful of things we're going to talk about. One is most definitely, and first most, is the newest book that he has published. Rashard, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on for the second time.
No problem at all. I do want to apologize. Normally, Ms. Lee takes care of all the booking stuff, and she's had internet issues, so I didn't know we had anybody originally this week, so that's when I contacted you originally. Then all of a sudden these messages came through, and I just had to keep changing it because everything was already booked, and I didn't know it. But I'm glad that you were still free tonight, and we were able to get you on here tonight. I want to give you an opportunity to plug yourself before we jump in. If you got Facebook, Twitter, websites, where they can go to get your books, anything you want to throw out there real quick before we talk about the latest book that you have published and talk a couple of the NFL topics leading into the Super Bowl.
Okay, my name's Rashard Mitchell, and you can find me on Rashard Mitchell's Books. That's where you can go and visit that page, and then you go right there and you will find the website. It goes right directly to the author page, and you can purchase any books you want. I got 35 books right now. Find me on Twitter, Rashard Mitchell at Rashard Patterson. On my Facebook page, the other one is Rashard Mitchell. And I have a website called www.mrrashardmitchell.weebly.com. Also, I write for a magazine, Gyroscope Media Group magazine. You can check that out on Facebook.
Sean, it's been a couple of weeks since we've had you on. You were in the process of writing this particular book that you just published, the top 50 underrated NFL quarterbacks. I'm glad to see you got it done. Glad to see that we got you back on to talk about it. How long did it take you to write this one, and what can we expect in this book?
It didn't take that long. I'm a quick worker with my books, so I don't know the exact time, how many days it took, but it didn't take that long because I did it last month. It came out last month, the quarterback's book. So, early last month it came out. Gotcha. And also the book is going to be interesting because it has, a lot of underrated quarterbacks that I felt was underrated. And also, you have a few Hall of Famers, a few surprising. You might, assume might be, they shouldn't be on the list, but there are reasons why I put them on the list. So most of the people that are on this list are not in the Hall of Fame. They were just good quarterbacks, but there are a few that are in the Hall of Fame that are on this list that I felt was, underrated due to the kind of team they played on, that the talent that was on the team. So it's a very interesting book. Now,
since your book was about quarterbacks, I want to jump into the quarterback conversation and more specific talk about next weekend's Super Bowl 50. Obviously, Peyton Manning is not going to be in a book of underrated quarterbacks, and he has done, I think, accomplished anything and everything that we can imagine when it comes to the quarterback position. And then on the other side of the field, we have a quarterback that, some people would debate whether or not he is underrated, or at least does not get the recognition that he deserves in Cam Newton. In my frame of talking about the quarterbacks right now, what are your thoughts about this Super Bowl and the two quarterbacks that we're going to have play in Super Bowl 50?
I think it's going to be a great matchup. I think you got two quarterbacks, you got the old guard and the new guard. You got, a guy that's a living legend and another quarterback trying to be on that level. Possible, I think, league MVP and Cam Newton. I think it's going to be a great matchup. I think the key to the game is going to be, to me, the number one ranked defense of the Denver Broncos going up against Cam Newton and that offense. Now, the offensive line is much better than the offensive line of the Patriots that the Broncos face in the championship game. But Cam Newton's ability to run, scramble, and throw the ball is going to pose a great test to the defense. I think Denver, to me, I think they're going to find a way. I think you look at their history of being in the Super Bowl. This is their 8th appearance in the Super Bowl. They've been blown out a lot of times. They won a couple, but I think Denver's going to take it. I think Manning going to play pretty good. I think Demarius Thomas is an X factor at wide receiver. I like the defense. They number 1 defense. And here's a stat: the number 1 defense, the team with the number 1 defense that played against the number 1 offense in the Super Bowl history, 9 out of 11 times the team with the number 1 defense has won. They're 9-2. So you got the number 1 defense of the Denver Broncos. I gotta go with them. I mean, I think Von Miller, DeMarcus Ware, that front 4 with Derek Wolfe and Malik Jackson, I think they're gonna make cause a little havoc a little bit, try bottle up Newton. Newton's got a good arm, but he's dangerous when he's running too. So I just think the score gonna be, to me, 24-17. I think he's gonna run the ball pretty good. I think they're gonna do it. I think it's Denver's time. Cam will have and the Carolina Panthers will have a chance to be back in this situation again. But I just think numbers don't lie. The number 1 ranked defense, the team that comes to this Super Bowl, historically has won 9 out of the last 11 matchups in history. They're 9-2. So I gotta go with the team with the number 1 defense. That's the Denver Broncos.
That's a crazy stat, and this is probably where we don't see eye to eye. Now, don't get me wrong. I am praying. I'm down here in North Carolina, and I am praying over and over and over that I am blessed with a Denver Super Bowl win. I am not going to lie. I do not. And where my it's not that I'm anti-Carolina, and a lot of people don't know this, and I've lifted this cat out of the bag a couple times this week, but not on the show. There once upon a time I did cheer for the Carolina Panthers. When the my Cleveland Browns left in '95, I had to pick a team, and Carolina was new to the league, so I picked a new team that had no history. I was not jumping on any bandwagon until my Browns came back. Then I jumped back into being the Browns fan, and that's the extent of me ever cheering for any other team. Where I'm not gonna say I'm anti-Carolina. Where I'm tired of hearing Carolina fans is one, all of a sudden we have an excessive amount of Carolina fans. I have never seen so many Carolina fans in North Carolina, and I've been down here for 18 years. So that kind of rubs you the wrong way when you see it, just like when everybody would see the Seattle Seahawks all of a sudden. All of a sudden they just had this big fan base, and now you don't see them no more because they're not in the Super Bowl. But to watch this Carolina team only win against 3 teams above 500 at the time that they played them makes me not want to see them win the Super Bowl. And I'm sorry, but I want to see somebody that's been tested, and it is. I know they don't write their schedule, and it is what it is, but I want to see a team that's actually worked their butts off all year. And not to say Carolina ain't, but I'm sorry, you had an easy path to get there. But where my concern is the first 6 games or 7 games or whatever it was. I think they were 6-1 when Peyton Manning went down. Even though they played at the level they played and were undefeated there, I think they went 6-0 before they finally lost. Peyton Manning didn't play at the level that we expect Peyton Manning to play. That defense was playing at the level and was outscoring the offense and kind of carried that offense to those wins. Then Peyton Manning goes down. He's hurt. He's gone for half the season, a little bit more than half the season. Then because Brock Osweiler wasn't playing maybe to the level that particular game, Peyton Manning comes in for the last quarter and a half, and then plays the next game, and that's it. So as much as I want Denver to win, Peyton Manning to this point ain't showed me anything all year long to give me a reason to believe that he can handle at his age to win a Super Bowl. And so therefore, as much as I want Denver to win it, if I'm going to bet, I am betting on the Carolina Panthers. But the fact that you threw out that 9 out of 11 wins have come against for the number 1 defense to win, I like knowing that. So that's going to make me sleep a little bit better tonight.
Yeah, I mean, defense wins championships, and I just think that, I think the defense of Denver is going to make a difference. They're going to run the ball pretty good. I think Manning played pretty well, but I just think the defense, they're going to find a way because, I mean, the numbers don't lie. You know, the top-ranked defense, they always get it done in the Super Bowl against a number one offense, and they number one scoring offense. I think they average 31.3, the Carolina Panthers, and they may look easy, but once you get into the Super Bowl, it could be a different story because they scored a combined 80 points, 49 points against the Cardinals, and then they scored 31 against Seattle. Now, they had a Legion of Boom. That was impressive, but they wasn't as good as Denver was all year. Denver, the only bugaboo they had was against the Steelers. They gave up like 34 points. Other than that, they've been pretty good all year, the Broncos defense.
Now, I've always been a firm believer, and this is something I've always said, offenses will win you games, but defenses will win you championship. And that's, I'm a firm believer that you can't outscore everybody. Eventually, your defense has got to stop somebody. And Carolina's, we'll obviously know the pace of the game by halftime. And as we very commonly see Carolina jump out to a big lead at halftime and then struggle to hold on to that lead to win the game, where they are at halftime will kind of give us an idea because we know that Carolina is not a second-half team. They're a first-half team, and they need that big lead to kind of cushion themselves for the storm of the second half. And everybody else kind of comes on in the second half. I think they're just kind of shock and awe to watch Carolina come out and do the things they do in the first half. And honestly, I think it wears a lot of Carolina out because, like I said, the second half, they are not the same team they are in the first half. But I think, honestly, by halftime, we'll kind of have an idea of how this Super Bowl is going to go for us. Like it or not, Cam Newton has brought forth the attention and it's kind of put the spotlight on him, which is kind of rubbed me wrong as well. I think that this week is supposed to be about the Carolina Panthers and about, them going to the Super Bowl, not about Cam Newton, which unfortunately Cam Newton has made this week to be about Cam Newton. And in his statement, talking about the reason that people don't care for him, it has got to do with the fact that he's African American. And I have more than one time brought up the fact that a lot of people don't like him because of his shady past has got part to do with it. The fact that he got kicked out of the University of Florida for stealing and cheating, the whole pay-to-play in Auburn. And I don't care that people celebrate. I think that it needs to be, if there are fines and penalties, it needs to go down the middle. In other words, we watched Antonio Brown score a touchdown, run straight through the end zone, hug the field goal post and slide for it. Now, I know you're not supposed to touch the field goal post, but it was simply that quick and it was done and over with. Now, we got Cam Newton, on the other hand, that has time to do the dab dance, do the Superman dance, and give a football, and nothing is ever said about it. I think that also rubs people the wrong way, and it has nothing to do with race because I use a prime example of two African-American players, and one got fined and one didn't get fined. The only time I find the whole excessive celebrating to be stupid is when you're down by 2 or 3 touchdowns and you start celebrating when you get a sack or an interception. You're down by 2 or 3 touchdowns. It's not time to be celebrating. It's time to be focused and do what you're supposed to do. But in his statement, he talks about that we have nobody to compare him to, and I think that also rubbed people wrong because we have seen a lot of great African-American quarterbacks. Doug Williams with the Washington Redskins to be the first black quarterback to win the Super Bowl. You have Warren Moon and what he accomplished. Randall Cunningham. Even Michael Vick maybe didn't have quite the arm as such as the other ones we other names I used, but Michael Vick was kind of ahead of his time at the time. With the history and the fact that you've done the research and published this book, and obviously you did extensive research to publish your book, how far off base when you hear him say that there's not other black quarterbacks to compare him to, is he really? Because we've seen some really talented black quarterbacks in the NFL history.
Yeah, he could be kind of false on that because when you talk about Randall Cunningham, who I have on a list, he was Cam Newton before Cam Newton because he had the ability to scramble and run out of the pocket and throw accurate passes like Cam Newton. So I think, Randall Cunningham is similar to Cam Newton because he had the same ability. Only thing, he didn't have is like that physical build.
Yeah.
He was like slender, skinnier, but he could throw it and he could run it. So I think Randall Cunningham is Cam Newton.
Yeah, exactly. I think I would say the only difference, and I think Randall Cunningham to Cam Newton was probably about 20 pounds of pure muscle. And don't get me wrong, I mean, Cam Newton to be a quarterback in the NFL and to have his physique, he kind of reminds me of the Braun of the NBA. They just have this gifted body, and obviously that's helped him. I mean, RG3, if he would have had more of Cam Newton's physical attributes, he probably wouldn't have gotten hurt as often as he's already been hurt in his NFL career. I think that, Cam just got blessed with just having this freakishly big body at the quarterback position so he could take those hits. But it just kind of rubbed people the wrong way when you hear him talk about this. And, we've had some really great, and maybe not so mobile like Cam Newton has. I think in our past we've either had, people like Warren Moon and Doug Williams who threw a lot, didn't necessarily run a lot. Then you had Michael Vick that didn't really throw a lot, he ran a lot. But I think Randall Cunningham was kind of the exact example of, we've already had one of you before. We have something to compare you to. Now we just want you to go out and prove that you can finish this up instead of sitting there talking about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Cam Newton just has to can't put that much pressure on himself. He has to, let the game come to him. Obviously, he knows the team game, and they got a good running back. Jonathan Stewart, good offensive lines to take the pressure off him. Because that's the thing you don't want to see if you're on Carolina's side, to have Cam Newton try to do everything all by himself. Just don't let the moment, be so overwhelming that he can't perform at that high level, because there's nothing worse than in the NFL to lose in the Super Bowl. To be a Super Bowl loser, nobody remembers them. They always remember most of the time is the champion that wins the Super Bowl.
There's one exception to that rule, and that has to be the Buffalo Bills, who lost like 4 Super Bowls.
Yeah. Right. Buffalo Bills. Yeah, definitely. You're correct. You're right.
You're, if I remember correctly, you're a New York Giants fan, correct?
Yeah, I like the Giants. Yeah.
Being a fan of the Giants, the whole Tom Coughlin thing. What is the mindset of a Giants fan moving to the future, and what do you think the future of the Giants are now that they're obviously going to be going in a different direction?
Yeah, it's going to be a challenge when you look at a guy like, for example, Ben McAdoo, offensive coordinator. He did a pretty good job with Eli. I think he threw like 35 touchdown passes. But now he's going to be a head coach other than just offensive coordinator. So he has to be a leader of men. He has to lead the team from all facets of the game. So that's going to be a challenge to see how he handles that. And it's unfortunate to see Coughlin leave, but it was time. Maybe they could have it seemed like, they kept the same staff together. I don't think they got rid of nobody except for Coughlin. But at the same time, I think the Giants are in a state of transition. They missed the playoffs 4 years in a row since they won Super Bowl 46. And that's not, tolerated when you look at a franchise that has won 8 NFL championships in total. And when you see mediocrity like that, somebody's going to be the fall guy. And unfortunately, the coach, Coughlin, was a fall guy. But I think the Giants got a chance. Obviously, they got to get healthy. As far as with the Cruz got to come back, and Beckham definitely going to be back and being the same Beckham. He just got to control his emotions and not let the cornerbacks get him out of his game. The running game has to get better. Most importantly, the defense has to get better. Linebackers, cornerbacks, safeties, the pass rush got to get better. So if they could do that, I think they could be in the mix on the division as well as the NFC.
Now, I watched the Pro Bowl game this weekend, and of course, one of the questions that got brought up was they asked Eli Manning basically, do you know what Peyton Manning's going to do, if it's it or, you know, is he playing another season? And his only reply was, he don't know. He's not talked to Peyton Manning at all. Do you think that his brother knows and just not allowed to say? I could imagine one of the biggest decisions and one of probably the greatest quarterbacks, I'm not going to say the greatest, but one of the greatest quarterbacks ever to play this game. There's no doubt that in my mind, I am talking to my brother, and my family has some say-so in it, and I would go to them for advice, especially with Archie Manning, and then, of course, Eli still being in the league, to kind of, is it time, in your opinion, to step away kind of conversation? So I find it hard to believe myself that Eli and Peyton Manning have not had a conversation on whether or not Peyton Manning is planning on retiring after this game or not.
Yeah, I think he should retire. I'm quite sure. Who knows? I don't know what's in his heart, in his head, but I'm quite sure maybe Eli might know what he's going to do. But I think, my opinion, Peyton Manning should retire, win or lose. I think he has nothing to prove. I mean, he's been probably the greatest regular season quarterback of all time, as far as in the regular season. He always put up great numbers. It's just his pet peeve will always be, in the playoffs. But the thing about him, he does have a 3-1 record against Brady in the championship game. So he's 3-1, and he's 3-2 against Brady. So at least he has that leg up over Brady. So I think he's over 500. I think he's 14 and 13 lifetime in the playoffs. So to have a 3-1 record in the AFC Championship game against Brady and a winning record overall at 3-2 against Brady means you're doing something good. Again, you're not going to win all the playoff games. Obviously, Brady's lost some games himself. But through it all, I think his resume, what he has accomplished with the hype coming from a family of royalty in football with Archie Manning and a guy like him, his father. To live up to what that name, I think, and do what he has done. I don't think he has to win this Super Bowl to show that he's the greatest or one of the greatest. He already has shown that. The thing that's impressive is that he's been able to lead two teams to two different franchises to the Super Bowl. That's not easy to do. He led this team, Denver, to 2 Super Bowls in the last 3 years. Now he got to finish the deal, and I think he will. In my opinion, I think they'll win 24-17. But if he don't win it, it doesn't diminish what he has done.
No, and a lot of people, they put a lot of emphasis on his postseason and the Super Bowl record, and that is what it is. And there's more than one fence, and obviously there's 2 other people out there that impact the game. I think what I will always know Peyton Manning for is, by hands down, by no stretch of the imagination, is there anybody to me that was greater than getting up there to the line and be able to dissect the defense, call an audible, and if that defense makes any adjustments when he calls his audible, be able to do another audible and get it right almost every single time. He just blows my mind how he can pick apart a defense and make the adjustments with that time clock, that play clock running down, no matter if he got up there with 10 seconds or if he got up there with 20 seconds left on that play clock, and be able to dissect the defense and make the adjustments that are needed. That's what I will always remember Peyton Manning for. Before we let you go, do you have any other books that you are in the works now presently, or do you have any ideas, brainstormed any ideas on what the next book that you're going to be publishing?
Well, I just finished last week a book. I started a segment, a series called NFL's Greatest Games. I took a look at Phil Simms' greatest games, like the top 25. I finished that last week. All last month, man, in January I was busy. I got a lot of books out in the NFL, not just the quarterbacks and the running backs. I did one on the wide receivers, the tight ends, the offensive linemen, defensive linemen, the linebackers, and the defensive backs, the top 50 underrated category. I looked at the other positions that I just mentioned, to add on to the quarterbacks and the running backs. So I did the top 50 underrated wide receivers, the top 50 underrated tight ends, top 50 underrated offensive linemen, top 50 underrated defensive linemen, the top 50 underrated linebackers, and the top 50 underrated defensive backs. So I finished that. I did all those books are out right now. That came out last month. The ones that I just mentioned. Outside of the running backs was book. The running backs that came out in December, a couple of months ago now. Now it's February. But everything else, the other books, 7 books, came out last month, 7. So this would be, I think it's 6. I think, and I'm not. Again, I might probably miscount it, but those other books came out last month. Now I was very busy in January, and I finished, like I said, the Phil Simms Greatest Game. So that's going to add to the other NFL books I got. I'm just going to do like a series on that, look at certain players, certain rivalries, that NFL history and the greatest games they played in, and then take it from there.
So sounds like you're staying very busy, and looking forward to getting to know a little bit more about this series, and then also bring you back and maybe get a little bit more in depth into the top 50 quarterbacks, because we really didn't get into, like we did last time with the running backs and some of these other positions. So we'll definitely stay in contact. I would definitely like to get you back on the show at least a few more times and talk more about these books as well as what's going on in the NFL. Rashard, it has definitely been fun, and I love having you on the show. Love hearing about the books and your take on what's going on in the NFL. You guys, make sure you guys check out his books. Make sure you check out Rashard Mitchell and what he's got going on. He's got a lot of great books out there and a lot of useful information. Like I said, that 9 out of 11 was the number 1 defense. Until you brought that up, I had no idea that was in favor for the Denver Broncos this weekend. So definitely keep in touch. As a matter of fact, I will probably email you after the show, and also send you over a link to the show like I did last time as well when I do that. Rashard, I want to thank you for coming on, and look forward to having you back real soon.
Yeah, I'd love to be on your show again. Fortunately, we didn't get in depth to. I just talked about Randall Cunningham, but that's okay. He was on the list of the quarterbacks. If you want to bring me back on to go in depth with it, I could do that. Or I definitely love to come back and talk about the wide receivers book. That's an interesting book too. All my books are interesting. So I just feel that your show will be a great platform for it, and I'd love to be on again.
Real quick, before we get you off, because there's something else that came out the last couple of days. I know that rumors have been flying around, but it was not technically made official, but sounds like it's a pretty realistic thing at this point, talking about wide receivers. How shocked was you to know that Calvin Johnson is going to call it a career already?
Yeah, I heard about that, yeah. Yeah, he said he's going to leave. I'm not surprised. Maybe the wear and tear, or maybe he's tired of losing. He never, made it, to the Super Bowl. He'd probably go down as one of the great players, never to play in the Super Bowl, because this guy dominated. He kind of revolutionized the position for his size and his quickness and his speed. I don't know what time he ran in the 40, but his his physicality to just get open all the time and just be that great receiver for a long period of time. It happens. So he's gonna be missed. Unfortunately, just played with a franchise just didn't put it all together. Now they had a chance. They had Dominican Sue, Nick Fairley, but I don't think obviously Nick Fairley I don't think is on the team no more. Obviously Dominican Sue moved on to Miami. Stafford, he's still not up there with the elite yet. He's still he's gonna have a lot of work to do now that if this stays like it is with Johnson leaving. Now he has to deal with Golden Tate and then deal with another receiver to deal with, because he's going to be missed, because you can make a case Johnson made Stafford what he was more than Stafford making Johnson, because Johnson, he was great coming out of college, out of Georgia Tech, so he was going to be great anyway.
Most definitely. Obviously, that gives us something to talk about the next time we get you on here. Rashard, I'm going to go ahead and let you go so we can get things wrapped up here for the night, because we're about 10 minutes over anyway. Like I said, I'll email you everything after the show, and we'll definitely make arrangements to get you back on here. But thanks for coming on, and you have a great night.
Oh, same to you. Have a great night. Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir. Woo! What a show tonight! Between good Lord, between having Ali Kern on from the Drive for Diversity program, Tim Clagg from the ARCA series, and PR over Mitchell Motorsports, and then having Rashard Mitchell, the author of all these great NFL books. I tell you what, it's going to be hard to top this tomorrow, but I'm going to try my darndest with the ARCA series. Gus Dean joining the show, and then, of course, Carolina Hurricanes, Zach Boychuk joining the show at 10:30 tomorrow night with Izzo. I'm going to try my darndest to see if we can top tonight's show. But way to start off the week. Don't forget, Monday through Friday, you can catch the 110 Nation morning show, 9 a.m. kickoff time. We were live and loud and proud this morning, so make sure you guys tune into that. Monday through Friday, we got the 110 Nation sports show, 9 p.m. We got Racing with Big Sweats. I think he's returning this Thursday. There's talks of this Thursday. There's talks of Wednesday. I'm not 100% sure, but we'll get something nailed out on that. And then don't forget, we got Happy Hour Garage Sunday night, 7 o'clock, 2-hour show. We got a special edition of it Saturday at noon, as they did a couple episodes last week. We got to get those on the network. And then don't forget, the hottest show on the 110 Nation Sports Radio Network right now, the Dirt Talk Hour, 9 o'clock Sunday night. Great show. I had a blast listening to those guys who were running the studio last night. I'm looking forward to this Sunday night as they have a star-studded lineup again this Sunday. I'll tell you what, it's going to be difficult because the Super Bowls will be going, so I'm going to have to be multitasking, watching the studio, chatting with them, and watching the Super Bowl, but I'm up for the task. Don't forget, you can follow me at CJ Sports 1. You can follow the 110 Nation at 110 Nation. Check us out on Facebook, my personal fan page, Mr. CJ Sports. The 110 Nation fan page, 110 Nation Sports. Check out our company site, www.the110nation.com, and check out our blog site, www.the110nationsports.com, for all the latest going on here at the 110 Nation. Don't forget, after the show, after I get everything downloaded, since everybody needs to be sent, I will be wrapping up my NBA power rankings going into this week, so wrapping up from last week. Top three is probably not going to be a big surprise. The rest of it, who knows? You might find it interesting who I got and where I got them ranked through all 30 NBA teams. I think I got everything. Don't forget also, you can check out the Dirt Talk Hour over on the I-95 Sports Network on Mondays. And then, of course, we are rebroadcast on their network Tuesday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to noon. Make sure if you don't catch us here, you catch us there. We're also on Stitcher, Spreaker, SoundCloud, and iTunes to include Blog Talk Radio. Multiple ways to find us, and we're going to continue to keep growing. As 2016, we have a lot of lofty goals for ourselves, and we will reach those goals every little step as we're getting closer and closer. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to tonight, and we'll be talking to you guys in the morning.
Thanks for listening to the 110 Nation Sports Show with Mr. CJ Sports. You are a part of the 110 Nation, so be sure to visit the110nation.com for everything related to the show. You can follow CJ on Twitter at 110 Nation and on Facebook at 110 Nation Sports. Until next time.
Hi, you've reached Burger King. To leave a message, press 1.
Hey, Burger King? Listen, I'm a bit of an idea guy. Like croutons, I thought of that. I got a great idea to make your burgers better. 2 words, buttery, sauce. Because that makes everything taste better. You with me?
Sounds good. It's almost as good as the new extra-long buttery cheeseburger from Burger King. 2 beef patties topped with veggies and a rich buttery sauce on a toasted bun. Now just 2 for $5. Or mix and match with the Flame Grilled Chicken Burger. Part of the 2 for $5 deal. The new extra-long buttery cheeseburger. Only at Burger King. Limited time only. Price and participation vary.